welcome to the Beasts of the NFC East podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Gnitzcavich, with my co-host, Jeremy Goode. Jeremy Goode, what is good?
A lot's good for my team, the Eagles. Unfortunately, it looks like the Giants came back to beat the worst team in the NFL after going down 20-0. So a lot's good for you. I want to hear from you though, Sean. What's good with you?
Well,
you have a buddy too, which I like.
Yeah, this is Honey Yakul Gnitzcavich Colby. This is my dog. She's a proud Giants fan. And you know what? We were both looking a little worried. a little worried, but she was very excited. I think she's had enough of my lap though. I'm gonna break it down. I'll tell you what's good though.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the NFC East won. That's good for everybody on their own. Everybody won.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you who looked the least good is the New York Giants for the first half.
Yes.
But you know what? I think this is the Giants' game plan. I think the Giants know how good of a team that we have, that we let the NFL have a 6-quarter lead on us. Because we were the first team since 1934 to be scoreless through the first 6 quarters of an NFL season. And not only that, though, I'll tell you what.
You are so insulting. You're acting like the first 4 quarters against Dallas, how just writing that off. Yeah, it's okay. We can lose 40-0 the first game. Let's write it off. Who cares?
Write it off. No, okay. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
I had so much excitement coming into this season.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas kind of ruined that. And I'll tell you what, Dallas still looked really good today, and we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
But the Cardinals, we were expecting this to be an easy win. My friends at the game, I was thinking about maybe going to the game. I thought, we need a little get right, Starts off, Giants, Brian Dable, such a smart guy, gives the Cardinals the ball so we can get it back in the second half, They marched down the field pretty handedly. We do get a stop. Matt Prater misses a field goal. We're like, okay, that was just a fluke. Giants get the ball back. Nothing. Just nothing. 3 and out against the Cardinals. I'm pretty sure also Dennis Gardeck, who I've been kind of trashing, but you know what? I really like him. He's scrappy because I've watched him the past 2 weeks. Gets a nice sack. And it just got worse from there. It was just. I had my friend Dan, the Giants fan, who I met at the first game of the Giants last season. He drove 2 hours from Kentucky to watch this game with me. And wow. I'll tell you what, at halftime, I was like, I am so sorry that you wasted 4 hours of driving to watch this game with me. It was quite miserable. So then it's a scoreless, or not a scoreless first half, because then the Cardinals get the ball back. James Conner's just running all over us. Our run defense, which is just, and we had everybody out. We had Ashawn out there. We had Nacho out there. We had Leonard Williams out there.
Mm-hmm.
We had Dexter Lawrence out there. It just it was nothing. Our defense looks abysmal. And honestly,
no one was making a play.
Nobody, dude. And that's the thing too. There's still stuff to be incredibly worried. Am I happy about this win? Yes, because we came back from 21 points or whatever, down 20-0 at the half. Yeah, that was honestly just. I was me and my friend, we were tying nooses for us. It was terrible. It was terrible. Scoreless through 6 quarters and 2 quarters against the Arizona Cardinals, the renowned worst team in the league. Josh Dobbs, who I don't know if you know this, if you were watching the game, you would know, is an aerospace technician, engineer.
I did know that.
Yeah, which I knew too, but they brought it up about every 5 minutes. So
yes,
probably because there was nothing good to say about the Giants. The Giants were hideous in the first half. Right when we thought that we had something going, we're marching down. I remember I'm feeling a little bit of you know what, we could still come back. At that point, we were down 17-0. Daniel Jones tosses it to Saquon. Probably not the best decision, but also something I'll get into in just a second. Passes to Saquon. Saquon's getting hit as he's catching it. Deflected up, interception. And turns the tide. We think we're coming back. Jason Pinnock with this great interception, running it back. Oh my God, we're turning the tides. No, it's Bobby Okereke tackled Zach Ertz like 5 yards before. So that was just terrible pass interference, which we had a terrible time covering the tight ends for the Arizona Cardinals. I think Trey McBride and Zach Ertz ate. Something to note, which is very big, the best player on the Cardinals defense, Buda Baker, was out. But arguably the best player in the New York Football Giants, Andrew Thomas, was also out, which I think we're like, you know what, we should be able to handle the Cardinals. We should focus towards maybe being able to compete with the Niners.
Yeah.
So what we had was Josh Azudu, who is a second-year, third-round pick that we got to play guard and didn't even win a starting guard position. And his second NFL start ever, and he's starting at left tackle. We have Ben Bredesen with his 11th NFL start, who did win our left guard starting spot. John Michael Schmitz, our rookie, second-round pick, with his second NFL start. Mark Lewinsky, who is so terrible, was replaced by fifth or sixth round pick from last year, Marcus McKeithen, who's never started ever in the NFL. That's how bad Mark Lewinsky was. And then you have Evan Neal, who arguably played the worst with the most starts at 15 starts in our first round pick, who we have high expectations with. And I would say just offensive line play. Ben Bredesen went down with a concussion and was ruled out of the game in the third quarter, right when we were picking up steam. Mark Lewinsky then came in to play left guard. Evan Neal struggled. He had that big, when Danny Dimes ran in for his second rushing touchdown, there was a holding call on Evan Neal. Yep. It wasn't like blatantly obvious, but he just held him too long when he was throwing the guy to the ground. Luckily, and that made it third and 10 for a touchdown. When it was first or third and 5, whatever. Luckily, Saquon Barkley gets that touchdown because it was tight and we needed it. And then Evan Neal also had another holding call, or it was a false start, or was it a holding that brought us from being 1st and 8 to being 1st and 15 or something when we were scoring, and we need these touchdowns. I mean, we overcame a 21-point deficit, so that's awful. I'll tell you what, though, I think everybody, I got texts from everybody like the Giants might never win another game. It was miserable. I have these little kids that come and watch football with me, and his mom's like, "Hey, I really want to get Santana, shout out Santana, a football jersey, and I want to get him a Giants jersey. Like, who should I get?" And this is like during the first half. I'm like, honestly, like, you should get him a Titans jersey since we live in Tennessee. Like, I know he wants to be a Giants fan because of me, but like, I don't know if there's anybody worth getting a jersey of right now. I was like, Saquon, if you want Saquon, me. I don't know. It was miserable. And then halftime hit, and there's this commercial. Brian Dable driving a big blue Ford F-150, and he's talking over while he's driving, and the license plate says Big Blue, and I said, honestly, the Giants should just play this for the team at halftime because this is inspiring me. And I think what they really did was like, hey, we need to open up the field, because the first play of the second half, Giants get the ball back, Jalen Hyatt, 68-yard bomb, first play, first NFL catch, first target of the game, I think second target of his entire NFL career, which he needs to be targeted more because he had, I believe, 2 catches on 2 targets for 89 yards, leading the Giants in receptions. But that jump-started the Giants team. From there, run it to Saquon Barkley, and then Danny Dimes with those sweet Vanilla Vic legs, run it in for a touchdown, turning the tides right there. And that was at the start, right? Like, we needed to start off strong.
Very quickly, yeah.
We needed to start off strong. Those 3 plays to start.
It's like a 2-minute drive,
Yeah, not even. And then the Cardinals return, and then the Giants go on to score 24 unanswered points from there. And we were able to shut them down again. Like, we were able to shut them down. Saquon Barkley with 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, rather. It was I don't know. I'll tell you what, it was a tale of 2 teams.
Yeah.
It was a tale of two teams. I think just what we saw in that second half, the Giants defense looked better. I will say this, like I mentioned earlier, still do not have a sack in the first two games. There's probably some stat about that too. We still do not have a sack. Like Joshua Dobbs is not like some elusive guy, like no interceptions, no sacks. We were really not forcing any turnover. And like you said, it's the worst
Right.
team in the league. It's the Arizona Cardinals.
Mhm.
I don't think they're as bad as everybody predicted. Like James Conner, I think runs very hard, or our defensive line is just that terrible. But
I think they have good players. I
Yeah.
think they have a few good players, but overall the team is not good. It helps if James Conner can touch the ball 20 times out of the backfield, and he averages around 4.7 yards per carry. You can cook up a little bit on offense, but otherwise, throwing league, Josh Dobbs. I guess I'll get into a little bit. And the first thing I'll say is obviously congrats on a win.
Yeah, thank you. Seriously, I needed it. Thank you.
It didn't come easy, but congrats. Yeah. I will also say, in all seriousness, winning ugly is so much better than losing pretty, or you know what I mean. Any kind of win is obviously 1,000 times better than losing at all. So that's big for the Giants. I would be concerned about a lot of things after the game. It's nice that the offense looks like it's found a bit of a rhythm.
Yeah.
Only issue I see is not going up against a good team, not going up against a good defense. Saquon got hurt, which is obviously of course there would be concerned about that. I don't want to add anything to that. That's obviously
he did get an X-ray. Nothing is out as of now. I mean, we're recording this literally like an hour after the game, so
yeah, I think
he doesn't look good. He got the X-ray, but nothing is confirmed yet.
The offensive line looks awful for the Giants. I think with a little more experience, it could be a little better, but nothing. You had Andrew Thomas back; they'll be better, but nothing good enough, in my opinion, which is concerning. Not getting into the quarterback is concerning. Not getting turnovers is interceptions is concerning. I said the Eagles don't have many sacks to begin. I think they had 2 in the first game, 2 in the second game, but they also had 4 takeaways against Minnesota on Thursday night. So that's where you can say, like, okay, we're adding pressure, but we're also getting turnovers. So you don't have to like weigh the sacks as much. I think the Giants have talent.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take them a while to gel, and I think if it takes them a while to gel, it could be a little too late for playoff implications. I still think they're good, but it seems like last year was great for them because they caught the NFL off guard. Clearly a decent enough team, offensively pretty solid, defensively but the offense wins you game, and the coaching was a lot better. Dable's coaching compared to Joe Judge, compared to all those guys ahead of him, Pat Shurmur, light years better. I think now, I don't know if teams are game planning for Dable a little better. They have something on him, which could be the case, but I think now it's not coming as easy. I think I like some of the weapons for the Giants. I wish they had a little more star potential. Not star potential, just more star-studded players for playmakers on offense. I think that would help them a lot. Yeah. Very good second half. I actually thought that they would probably do that even down 20-0 in the going into the third quarter.
You believed in
just
us.
Because well,
because there's a lot of Giants fans that didn't believe.
To be fair,
you were watching the game too. It looked awful.
I believe a lot less in bad teams. So what I mean by that, I'll give the Giants credit. I believe that I thought, they have to turn around. They'll have to adjust in the second half. We'll see what they do. But there is nothing, even losing to bad teams at halftime. Bad teams are bad teams for a reason. They're really bad, and it's because they can't put across a good 60 minutes a game. Not even just 60 minutes. They can't really give you 30. Yeah. If they do, it's a win in and of itself. So that's why I had actually a lot of faith in the Giants going to halftime. I will say when it was 28-7, and then they got the 2-point conversion for Arizona after the Giants responded, I thought, wow, that's not good, especially after the quick start for the Giants. But they made some adjustments. Intriguing offense in the second half. I think a lot of concerns going forward. Doesn't help that they play San Francisco Thursday night in San Francisco. especially with guys who got concussions today. I doubt they'll be
Yeah,
able to
with
play
Ben
Thursday.
Bredesen. Yeah, Ben
Right.
Bredesen with his concussion. Andrew
I
Thomas still up in the air.
Not great, especially
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if we if we can't have Thomas active, he sits, he gets 6 more days of rest, and then boom, we're good to go next Sunday. Not the case for San Francisco, or not the case. Well, yeah, San Francisco, but not the case for the Giants because they have a quick turnaround on Thursday night, which as an Eagles fan experienced this week, it's not really fun because a lot of guys who would have been healthy today weren't 3 days ago, so it's a little annoying there. But they got the win. You
yeah,
can't go 0-2 there, especially because I don't think they're going to beat San Francisco Thursday night. So you definitely can't go 0-3. So
yeah.
more important in the win column, obviously you're feeling good. Some good plays in the second half too.
Hmm.
Um, Interesting game, interesting team. We'll see what Dable's made out of because I think that he'd be pretty concerned at this moment after 2 games for an offensive guru that he is, with his background with the Bills, how he hyped up Josh Allen, his
Hmm.
time in Alabama too, and last year his work in making Daniel Jones a pretty serviceable, decent enough quarterback. So we'll see.
A few things I want to note here. I did just get
Yeah,
an update. Saquon Barkley, per Jordan Schultz, who Schultz report, I respect. Anyways, sprained ankle is what it's saying. So likely out for 1 to 2 games, which is
I
not.
think that's
But I'll
I
tell
think
you
that's
what,
pretty. I think that's pretty good news for Giants fans.
it is good news, especially because like we're not expecting to beat the Niners. It makes me a lot
Yeah,
less hyped to watch the Niners. I'm not
sure.
gonna lie, if we played the way that we played in the second half, because that's the thing, we did make a lot of adjustments. I know I made that joke about the stupid Brian Dable commercial, but
Yeah.
the reason why James Conner was running all over us in that first half was because Wink Martindale was getting fancy with and cute with his blitzes. And
Yeah.
sometimes it worked. You saw Jason Pinnock have like 3 tackles for loss in that first half because he'd come around. That's our safety coming in with the blitz.
Hmm.
We also had Micah McFadden coming in straight through the gap. We had Bobby Okereke doing that. But when they blitzed the wrong gap and they cut through that right hole, they have all that open space and he'd burst out for 10 yards. And I feel like they kind of got more conservative in the second half when we needed to be conservative and not let up anything rather than get some fancy play. We were looking to just hold them and get those
You
three
gotta
downs.
you gotta keep players in front.
Yeah.
I think defenses today, for better or for worse, they're gonna give up stuff in front of you. They don't want players to get behind you.
Yeah.
And I think if you can eliminate the big plays like that, that's the way the NFL defenses are trending. Wink definitely shaky the last few weeks. I'll say,
Yeah.
even though last week I don't think the defense is
We only let up
as
2
much to blame
touchdowns last week, which
because of the situation,
yeah.
the different situations and whatnot. A lot of bend don't break situations with them last week too against Dallas. But interesting because he's always been a pretty strong defensive coordinator. I know the Eagles
Yeah.
were looking at him a few years ago when we were looking at D coordinators. I think we passed for some reason. But his time in Baltimore too, he's always been one of the best. So it's
Yeah.
interesting seeing um, that side of the ball struggle early on for the Giants, but they shaped it up in the second half, no doubt.
And I'll tell you what, another thing, because like you said, people are earlier. You mentioned teams might be game planning for the Giants more. And
Yeah.
last year when we played the Cowboys, we got those cute little RPOs where we fake it to Saquon, Daniel Jones runs around and gets 15, 20 yards. We had the Cowboys on that. They didn't let us do that once last week, and that's how it
Mm-hmm.
worked this week too. I think we didn't effectively run one of those RPOs where Daniel Jones took the ball for a design run where he fakes the handoff to Barkley. We got shut down with all that, shut down immediately. We did have Danny Dimes, like I said, like worked out. He had in the second half, he had 8 rushes for 58 yards,
Mm-hmm.
in the touchdown, and that was more so like seeing nothing's there, seeing an open hole, which is like why we paid Daniel Jones. Like he was able to assess the situation. Like he hasn't really had an interception. The interception against Stephon Gilmore last week, rain, whatever. Like he hasn't had a very sloppy, ugly interception. That Saquon Barkley one,
Mm-hmm.
somewhat of a coincidence. Another thing, the adjustments. First half, 11 for 18, 88 yards, 1 interception. Second half, 15 of 19, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns. And that's from Talking Giants, Bobby Skinner right there. But Yeah. And
Yeah, and with running the ball for Daniel Jones, I've said this before. If your quarterback is mobile, they need to run. That's how the offense
mhm,
works. I said it about Jalen Hurts. There are times when to run, times when not. I think some design runs are kind of stupid, but
yeah.
when it comes to running the football with the quarterback and a play breaking down and they have room to run and they're looking to throw, take the yards. And I think that Daniel Jones has definitely done that throughout the I guess 4 to 5 years he's been in the NFL. So you can't fall for it's how it's the difference between first downs, punting, and extending drives and getting points at the end of the day. And especially with Saquon going down,
Yeah.
I think Daniel Jones he's a okayish alternative to make up for some of that missing rushing yards in with 26 not being on the field.
I do want to mention one more thing.
Mhm.
Well, first, something serious. Like I mentioned, we start off the second half with that Jalen Hyatt bomb. Like,
Yeah.
he got behind, and like you're looking at, Keytrell White or whatever, the 5'10" guy, 5th round pick, second year in the league for the Cardinals, who looked like just looked amazing. But we threw that 58-yard ball, um, and that's 30 yards less than Daniel Jones had in the entire first half. So just think of it like
Yeah.
think about how that changes the dynamic. Just throwing those deep chunk plays. Like we had a few to Darius Slayton that came up short. He had another really good deep ball to Darius Slayton. It was a little bit outside where Darius couldn't get both of his feet down. That looked amazing. Luckily, we still scored on that play. Also, man, I had a really nice parlay, dude. And Saquon Barkley just needed 7 more yards, and they were just
Mm.
running it down the field with him. And then he sprains his ankle. You know what? I'll tell you what, though. I'll take the win over the bet, but man, that hurts because Matt Breida went in for what would have been the last the last 7 yards I
Unreal.
needed. Yeah,
Matt Breida giving you a push in a parlay, you still losing. That's
oh man.
not ideal. Yeah, when it comes to that high play, speed kills, and I think that there's nothing that helps an offense more than a 60-yard play in the air.
Yeah.
We've seen it a lot, and it changes everything. It changes field position. It changes the score ultimately because they get into field goal range. Hopefully, you're able to push it further and get a touchdown on that drive with the momentum too. So it makes a difference. Those kind of plays.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much like you said, the O line. That's not going to be our. I mean, the only pieces that I feel like we will continue to use on that O line are going to be
Mm-hmm.
Ben Bredesen when he comes back at left guard, John
Right.
Michael Schmitz, Evan Neal at right tackle, presumably, because he looked sloppy, but also like we only allowed 3 sacks, you know.
Yeah.
So, but the pressure was there, which is why in the second half I feel like Daniel Jones had a lot more time to get those balls off too, and I think that's because they opened up the field with that Jalen Hyatt stuff, and they didn't have to
Mhm.
rush. Um, but yeah, hopefully Josh Azudu goes to right guard, and we're just done with the Mark Lewinsky experiment. And hopefully Ben Bredesen comes back and Andrew Thomas comes back as soon as possible because, I mean, 3 sacks is okay, still not amazing, but against the Cardinals when we're playing the Niners next week, I'm terrified if we have to roll out with that same exact line. So
Yeah, no doubt. And I
yeah.
think what's the timeline with Andrew Thomas? Do you think he's going to play Thursday?
I believe the hamstring was mostly a pain thing, and that's what it was coming down
Huh.
to. But I'm sure there's probably more news there. But I mean, like I said, I'm fairly certain with a game that we're not expecting to win. Um, yeah. Saquon Barkley probably won't be rushed back. I don't think Ben
Right.
Bredesen with that concussion is going to be
They'll all
back.
miss Thursday, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think hamstrings are concerning because they linger. It's one of the worst nagging injuries probably in the NFL because they will linger season long if
Yeah.
so something to monitor there for them. Yeah.
And I do want to say one more thing that's kind of important. Still without a sack, Kayvon Thibodeau didn't even get a tackle, and Aziz Ojulari out again with a hamstring that he suffered in practice on Wednesday. So it's just we need edge rushers. I thought maybe we'd see more Isaiah Simmons. We didn't really see him in that role at all today. So
Hmm.
curious to see how that goes moving forward. But I think that's mostly everything I need to cover there.
Okay.
Darren Waller finally looked good for the Giants as a reliable option. 76 yards, 6 catches.
Yeah.
Darius Slayton, 62 yards. He was that big play guy again. So it's good to see Darius Slayton and Jalen Hyatt both stretching the field. Yeah. All right. What game you want to move to next?
We'll do the Eagles. Eagles played Thursday night.
Yeah.
They beat the Vikings 34-28. The score really wasn't as close as it seemed.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles scored a touchdown with 4 minutes left to go up 34-21. They gave up a garbage time touchdown with 1:10 left to put the score at 6. They get on the onside kick. Then they punt 3 plays later, but they punted to Minnesota with 7 seconds left. Weird game. I thought that a lot of Philadelphia, not panicking, but a little concerned. The offense still hasn't clicked like we thought it would. A little better than week 1, though, especially for only having 3 days to make corrections. They didn't. They contested the blitz well against Minnesota, who blitzed often, ran the ball really well. DeAndre Swift, 28 carries, 175 yards, and a touchdown. He looked nice.
Yeah.
Going to be interesting there with him because I don't think you could give him 28 touches every week. Actually, I know you can't, so they'll have to monitor that. But the run game looked good. Defense got turnovers. Four takeaways for the defense. Was nice to see. Made a difference. And overall, I thought that some plays that Jalen was making that he didn't week 1, a few down the field, a few to get first downs throughout the game. I thought the offense looked a little better as a whole. Yeah, I don't know. It's you want to clean up a few things. They gave up a lot to Justin Jefferson, I think around 160 yards.
Yeah.
Although he's kind of good, and they give 364 to Kirk Cousins. The secondary's has been banged up for the Eagles, so wouldn't have much
James
going into the game.
Bradbury out, right? Reed Blankenship
Right.
as well.
Blankenship out as well. Kirk is pretty good at getting 300 yards per game, though, it seems like. So, in a way, it's like, you want 364 to go down, no doubt. But Jefferson, too, is going to get 150 a week. So it's like you're keeping them out of the end zone. They had a few breakdown plays in the second half in the red zone to give touchdowns, which wasn't great. Mario Goodrich, their backup slot corner, second year out of Clemson, undrafted. He's got to work on that. Mm-hmm. Interesting game, some stuff to work on, but I was overall pleased that some adjustments they made. Still work to do. The offense needs to click more, but to only have 3 days to work on it after week 1, and now to have, kind of a half bye week going into next Monday night against the Bucks, I think that it's an okay outcome overall.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Devonta Smith still looks godly. Like,
yeah,
he would you say, is he your 1A right now?
I guess it's tough. It's tough. Like, they're both my babies, of course, Sean.
Yeah,
so like,
of course,
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to pick. But to be like, I always find it tough because like, if we're talking about overall skill, I think probably Devontae's better. Mm-hmm. But AJ's also more physical and also just such a presence that it also has more experience, more dominant experience since he's been in the league. That it's tough to like put him over AJ, but it is kind of like a 1A, 1B thing. I don't know. I don't know how to link them. Yeah. But and that's the thing too. I mean, it's a good point. Like, this offense, even if it's struggling, anytime they say man, go down the field to Devontae or AJ Brown. Like, it's just there. There's everything's there with them. So hopefully they take note of that. Yeah, I didn't like. I don't know if you saw, but they were in field goal range in the fourth quarter, I think, and Jalen took 2 consecutive sacks. He can't do that. He was kind of reverting back to himself in the 2020 to 2021 season where he didn't look down the field. He just looked to run. But the issue, too, is when he does that, and during the game a few days ago against the Vikings, he will walk into sacks. Like, he won't try. It is the most, like, mind-dumbing thing ever. It's something he needs to work on. But only didn't throw for 200 yards again. But good things to work on for him. They're still winning, which is good. I think it's good what a team that you think is going to be very good in the NFL. They're winning games and they're not playing their best early on. I think that could be good, but there's stuff to work on. The offense needs to look better. They need to go Goddard 6 catches, 22 yards. That's a weird stat line. He
Yeah.
did block well, but and the O line as a whole was great. But so they need to click more, and hopefully they do that in the future.
I'll tell you what, your run defense was stout. I mean,
Yes.
stout. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
a huge fan of Alexander Madison,
Mhm.
but eliminating their run game in general, they only rushed the ball nine times
Yeah.
for a total of 28 yards. I mean,
Two
that's
weeks. 2 weeks in a row too, if you consider
yeah,
New England. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
For
TJ,
as bad as bad as the pass defense, because the pass defense hasn't been good for 2 weeks.
yeah,
Injuries too, but
with
for as
James
bad as
White
that
out,
was,
yeah.
it was nice to nice to shut down Minnesota. I'm with you too. I think Madison's a nice. I think he's a decent back. I don't know if he's a classic cowbell back that you would
No,
want, especially when you had Dalvin Cook before him. I still think he's a solid kind of player, though.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I remember the games when Dalvin Cook would go out because he struggled with injury, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
pick up Alexander Madison," and he wouldn't wow me.
yeah.
TJ Hawkinson is a beast as he's always been, but also he was feasting with N'Kobe Dean out,
Yeah,
and Zach Cunningham isn't exactly known for his, you know, coverage skills. He's more of a tackling machine.
he had a great
Also,
game tackling
yeah,
when it came
he
to
did.
stopping the run and going after quarterback. Coverage is another story. He had one play where he covered JJ, and it was an incomplete pass, which is very exciting. But overall, yeah, it's a tall task for him to go after guys like Hawkinson. And yeah, obviously had a good game.
Yeah. Jordan Davis looked great again, though.
Yeah,
Another sack. Like, is that the 2 weeks in a row? Right? I think he maybe had a half sack last week.
2 weeks in a row.
Two
Yeah,
weeks in a row. I mean, dude, that's and Jalen Carter still looked great. Uh, Danielle Hunter 8 against you with 3 sacks. I'm assuming
he
that must
played
have
very
come
well.
on Lane Johnson because I thought I saw PFF posted that Jordan Mailata had the best left tackle grade in like since they started
Mylata had
grading.
Mylata had the best game I've seen in an Eagles jersey, and he's had
Yeah,
very good games too. So it's not like I was surprised to see, but he was fantastic. Everything about Mylata a few days ago was fantastic. Danielle Hunter did get to the quarterback. Some of them, I don't know if they were late. I think a few of them were when the pocket broke down, and then Jalen kind of walked into the 2 sacks in a row to get us out of field goal range, which
yeah,
was not smart. But the pressure. I mean, Danielle Hunter also added pressure throughout the game too, even when he wasn't sacking her. So you were noticing him a good bit. That's
yeah,
the Vikings defense. They rush a lot. I think they got punished a little bit when we could. Probably more opportunities for them to get punished. So something for the Eagles to work on. But another defense with Brian Flores that wanted to add pressure to Hurts, and it kind of makes sense in some ways. It's good. It's tough to do for an entire game plan, but yeah, I thought you know they there's something about that offense. I don't love Kirk, but I think he's very good for something. I don't
yeah.
know what it is, but he is there is talent there.
He didn't play
Justin
awful.
Jefferson,
He did no interceptions,
he
over
hardly ever
350
does. I
yards,
mean,
four
yeah,
touchdowns. I mean, like for everybody who says that he doesn't play well in prime time, he didn't look like the issue. I think the lack of the running game
yeah,
easily, and the lack of the run defense. Like
yeah.
both trenches. I know they had Garrett Bradbury was out. I don't know how much that affects their running game. I don't know, especially going against Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to run against that Eagles
It
front.
is hard. They were doubling Jalen Carter all game. But Jordan Davis, like you said, it's nice to see him in the backfield. We all know he can stuff the line. We all know he can stop
Yeah,
the run. That's great. You got to do both, though. You got to get to the quarterback as well. And for someone his size, it shouldn't be as hard, I would say. So
yeah,
if now he can really give you, he was nice as a classic nose tackle, but if he can give you 7.5 sacks a year,
but hey,
that
he's
would
on pace. He's on pace
that would
for
be
what
right.
17 right now?
Something like that. So that
Yeah,
would be very nice. And I think that his head's clear. I think he was going through like imposter syndrome last year, which
I
is so
believe.
silly.
Yeah,
It's like Jordan, you're just that good, dude. Just accept it.
yeah,
So good to see that he's filling the middle with Jalen Carter. especially because the secondary they had a lot to chew. But like I was saying too, like Justin Jefferson, elite, of course. T.J. Hawkinson, very good tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Jordan Addison, good speed. I think he'll be a good receiver. Nice to have. KJ Osborne too,
Yeah.
good receiver. So
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know what it is with that team. I guess well, defensively they're not good enough, and I
yeah.
guess offensively they
They've
don't
gotten
like.
worse too since last year, and that was their biggest. That was their fatal
Right,
flaw. So
right.
yeah. Um, anything else? I mean, I guess. I mean, DeAndre Swift had, I believe they said the best rushing performance since Shady McCoy
Yeah,
for the Eagles, and
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can't deny that. Do you
He
think
was.
he's just? I know you said he probably can't get 28 carries a game,
Yeah,
31 touches total. Do you think he's going to just be the lead guy moving forward? Or do you think they're going to still shift based on who they're
I
playing?
I think they're still going to shift, but I think he's going to get most of the touches if that makes sense.
He's going
I
to
think
be the clear one. You think?
I think so. I don't think it's much like I said in the last podcast.
Mm,
Gainwell's a good running back, but he's not a number one. He does best when he can feast off of the success of the true number one back after they just like maybe went down 40 yards, and then he can fill in for a few plays and then continue the momentum a little bit.
yeah,
But when it comes to talent, Swift is just so much better than
yeah,
anything else we have. Penny got a few touches, was okay, but also got wrapped up sometimes at the line of scrimmage. So yeah, I think my true dream would be bringing Jonathan Taylor and have him work off of and have you know Swift work off of that, which I think would be interesting.
yeah,
I think it would help Jalen Hurts too a lot. But if you can't do that, I think Swift gets most of the carries. I still think other guys get their touches, but I think after a game like that, that's more of a representation of our running back group than
yeah.
game one against New England for sure.
And Gainwell was out. I don't know what
Yeah,
the injury was exactly. But
yeah,
yeah,
he had a rib injury.
rib injury. So, but yeah, the
Yeah,
Taylor Swift dream. Yeah, it's exciting, but honestly, I don't know how long N'Kobe Dean's out. Is that just a 1 game thing or?
he is on IR, so he can return week 5.
All right, because maybe that's your next, especially with the safety. I feel like your defense is probably what you guys need to address if you guys are
Yeah,
looking for another piece. I mean, you guys are 2-0,
yeah.
still
I
look
mean,
dominant, but
like you mentioned a few minutes ago, Buda Baker did not play today, which I think he was a healthy scratch. I think that's for teams like the Eagles who might want to jump in, which would be nice. I think it's safety is one of those positions where it's like, yay, if they're a good player and you have a good team and good players around them on the defense. But if things go south and the defense goes south, it's like there's nothing worse than having an expensive safety on your team
yeah,
when it doesn't matter, your defense sucks. That's the most extreme way to put it. But yeah, yeah, Terrell Edmonds played, uh, forced a fumble, the Justin Jefferson fumble,
hey, that's
over the
good, huh?
pylon. So, did you see that play, Sean?
No, I was at a wedding the entire time.
Justin
I looked up
Jefferson's
some of the highlights, but yeah, I figured you
Justin
probably had this
Jefferson
one covered.
going in over the goal line with the
Mhm.
ball, loses it. It goes over the pylon, so it's a touchback, which is it's an interesting rule. I like it, if it happened against me, I'd be butthurt. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah.
I do think it's a good rule.
Hmm.
So Edmonds had an impact. I was really impressed. Cunningham had a great game, and Nicholas Morrow too, who was we cut and then brought on the practice squad, and then had to bring up because of the Dean injury. I
Hmm.
thought both of those guys at linebacker were great, except for a few plays towards the end of the game. But otherwise, I thought they were great. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see that unit in the middle of the field step up a bit with the front line. Just need the secondary to make a few more plays in games like that. But they went up 27-7, and then they
Kind of
went
let it
up.
go.
Yeah, well, I don't.
No.
It's tough to say. The offense should have been a little better. I thought the defense was solid. You go up 34-21 with 4 minutes left. The game's wrapped. So I consider the last touchdown garbage time.
Yeah.
But still have to play the full 60 minutes. So all in all,
Yeah.
stuff
Tell
to
it to the
work on.
Cardinals, man.
Yeah, yeah, they certainly patched things up after That was their Super Bowl. Not a great look for Jonathan Gannon either.
No,
Especially
being a
going up 20.
defensive coordinator, yeah, not being able to bottle us up after
Yeah, you don't
28-point
really.
lead, yeah.
Well, you don't want Gannon at anything. You don't want him at defensive coordinator or head coach, but that's an Arizona problem.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well, they have the youngest defensive coordinator, or the youngest coordinator ever as their defensive coordinator. I know they mentioned
yes,
that a few times.
Rollins.
Yeah,
Yes,
interesting. Because he was your
he was our
linebacker coach, right?
linebackers coach.
Yeah.
Interesting guy. Yeah, and I guess he's stolen from us. So yeah,
Oh no.
Gannon could be in over his head, no doubt. Not a good loss for him going back to Giants game, but that's got to be deflating,
Yeah.
especially because I think a lot of people in that locker room think he's a phony to begin with. So
Yeah, I think there's a fill-in. I think they're
that's
taking it.
that's their problem.
Yeah.
I'll take the win for the Eagles. I think a lot of people, offense, it's got to be better. It's got to be more in sync. Got to be the best it can be that we know it was last year. Be that top 3 offense that we think it can be. But on a quick turnaround, I think I can't be too picky. I'll take it. Let's work towards Monday night and really fix things up against the Bucks.
Yeah.
We're 2-0, right?
Yeah, 2-0. 2-0
Wow.
Bucks. Yeah. Well, they played the Bears, and I think the Bears are the Bears. No matter what
Bro,
the hype was.
I thought the Bears would be a little better than last week. I was like, nope. They're the Bears.
And that being said, too, the Packers, who very handedly beat the Bears, lost to the Falcons today. So
yeah.
I mean, it's just we're seeing the league. It's 2 weeks in, things are still change. We don't. These teams aren't who they're going to be at the end of the season. So, but good improvement from the Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he said. There's still some things like Jalen Hurts. Has he thrown for over 200 yards yet?
No, not in a game. I don't think. Yeah,
I mean,
no.
Yeah.
He was close. I think he was at like 190 this week.
193. I'm looking, but hey.
But when the run game's going as well as it was against Minnesota, that's one of the games where you're like, go with it. And I give Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator, second game credit because it's like that's an ego kind of thing for an offensive coordinator to be like, you know what, we're pounding it down their throat, running the ball. Let's stick with this instead of my quote unquote innovative offense that we have going. So I give him credit. The run was working. You got to win football games.
Yeah, and you did it the right way.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to note before we move on to?
I'll probably think of something, but no, not right now.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Let's head over to the Commanders versus the Broncos. Man, what a thriller! Okay,
interesting game. Yeah.
Yeah. Also a very, very interesting game. The Commanders win 35-33. Started off just like the Giants game. I was watching it underneath, and the Commanders were down 21-3 in the first half.
Yes.
Here's some fun notes that I have here. 35 points is what the Commanders scored the most since 2020. Maybe that's the Eric Bieniemy effect. 18-point comeback, largest since 1990. This is all from the Washington Commanders Twitter page themselves. And then 2-0 the first time since 2011. So
yeah,
it's exciting. It's exciting if you're a Commanders fan. I mean, the Broncos, were they disappointing last year? But they still have, I think a lot of people, I was listening to fantasy shows and they're like, oh, pick up the Broncos defense if you can against the Commanders because that's going to be,
I did that in one of my leagues.
Did you? I played the Giants defense in both of my leagues. You want to think got me?
I did too.
Points, dude.
I picked up the Giants too in some leagues. Ugh.
Oh yeah, Daniel Jones also had negative points in the first half, but man, I came back with a whopping, dude. Anyways, continue to the Commanders game. Start off slow. Denver went up 7 points, which was like halfway through the first quarter. So it was a slow, and like the Commanders defense looked pretty good against Russell Wilson too. Obviously it ended up being a high scoring game, but I think it was just attrition. And then Russell Wilson had that huge 60-yard touchdown to Marvin Mims. And then another Brandon Johnson touchdown. That's when they were down 21-3.
Yeah. Who are these guys? Jesus.
Yeah. Brandon Johnson. He's the guy at the end, the Hail Mary.
Oh, I know that. Yeah,
I'm like, I saw him score another touchdown. Who is this? Is that Greg Dulcich?
Yeah.
No, it's Brandon Johnson. Logan Thomas got a nice touchdown, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that they get the ball back, and they were down 21-3, right? But then
Yes.
they march down, score a touchdown with 147 to go, and then come back with a field goal.
Yep.
I don't know. Was that after the Emmanuel Forbes? I was watching the Giants game most of the time, but then they came back in the second half. Terry McLaurin, touchdown pass from Sam Howell. Brian Robinson had the game of his life, showed everybody that he is him. He is the lead back.
Yes.
I don't think there's any question in Washington that Brian Robinson is the lead back.
You
And
know.
then,
You know why?
what, Bama Boy?
Roll Tide. That's right.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Very
Also,
good.
Roll Tide, dude. Oh, you guys looked okay last game, huh?
Yeah, not great.
Mm.
Not great. We don't need hurricanes going through Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was a close game. I remember calling you like the Broncos they let the Broncos have a few opportunities to come back and tie it up at
They
the end
did.
there. And Chase Young also, who had a really great game in his first game back, I think 1.5 sacks. And that at the end, I think he drew 2 different penalties. So that wasn't good. But first game back, he's not used to all the. I mean, he hasn't really played much in the past 2 years, but
No doubt.
I think that there's a lot to be taken away here from the Commanders, because we're not going to be playing the Broncos again. We could talk about how good we all thought the Broncos were and how good they are. But the Commanders looked good today.
Yeah, I think Bieniemy. I think we both agreed going into the season, talent wise, they have decent talent on offense, and they've had decent talent the last 2 years on offense too. Maybe the difference was a good offensive coordinator. It seems like Bieniemy has helped them out a lot. So interesting to see them go into Denver win. I thought they would lose.
Me too.
And it was 21-3, so they should have. But
yeah.
It's a good win for them. I don't. They're in a tough division, as we know. The beast of the NFC East.
Beast of the NFC East. Yeah.
2-0 is 2-0, even though the first one was against Arizona. But it's I don't know. Their offense looks better. I think good game for Sam Howell.
No interceptions.
It looks like I want to say they beat a good team today, because even though Denver's 0-2, I think Sean Payton has turned this team into a better one, a team that's more feared these last 2 games than they have been the last few years.
Yeah.
I think even though he's had his moments today, bad moments, I think Russell Wilson has put together 2 solid weeks too.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't like they played garbage Russell Wilson. He had that interception, and I'm just going to do a little side note. That was the interception. Emmanuel Forbes, our guy that we both thought wasn't going to be that good. I did watch the interception.
I thought he would. Don't lump me into that group.
No, no. And I like Emmanuel Forbes, but just like I said, he had all those interceptions in college, but they were kind of throw. It looked like Russell Wilson was throwing it out of bounds, and Emmanuel Forbes just jumped it. And hey, you know what? That's just good ball reaction too. Yeah, was that I don't know. Russell Wilson didn't throw it out the way he should have thrown it out. Maybe he forgot that you have Emmanuel Forbes, the interception king, right there to snag it. But yeah, I mean, dude, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, and those bombs, dude, like the bombs to Marvin Mims, the bomb at the end to Brandon Johnson to almost tie up the game and go into overtime.
Yeah, I mean, that was we'll give Luck some credit there, but I've always said in those situations, you just gotta get the ball up there and in the area, and anything can truly happen. And I do think that's true. It shouldn't, but it goes. We've seen it before. It'll go through the first defender's hands and then bounce off a player, and it's up there for the taking. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I was saying with Wilson, I mean, last year Russell Wilson was just inept. I mean, it was awful. In the last 2 weeks, I think that he's been a decent comeback kind of player. Not great. I mean, you can't have a turn. You can't have an interception and a fumble and lose a fumble at the quarterback position and really guarantee yourself a win in the NFL today. But he's giving you some abilities at quarterback, which he wasn't last year. I think Sean Payton definitely helps with that too.
Yeah.
So I guess you could chalk it up as a good win going to Denver too for Washington.
Yeah.
I don't know who they play next, but I would assume luck would run out eventually
Yeah, we'll get to
because
that. We'll get to the previews next.
yeah, but yeah, good for them.
Yeah. I think we do need to. Brian Robinson looks like Brian Robbins him is what he looks like.
Wow.
Brian Robbins
You
him
better
Jr.
trademark that.
I'll
My
tell you
goodness.
what, I'm glad I drafted him in all my fantasy teams because he showed out, man. Yeah, 18
He was
carries
on
for
the bench
87
for a few of my
yards.
leagues.
Yeah, no, I was so over 120 total yards, 130 actually, I believe. Yeah,
Let me see.
2 touchdowns, averaged 5 yards a carry. Good out of the backfield. That's the thing too is like Antonio Gibson. Yeah, he's kind of like their backfield guy, but Antonio Gibson had one more reception for only 2 more yards than Brian Robinson. So
Yeah, I
he's a
mean Gibson,
do it all back.
no doubt. The Gibson, I mean, that's where Gibson, I think, is really relevant for this team and,
Yeah,
catching the balls in the backfield. And if Brian Robinson does it as well, or similarly to him,
yeah.
it's not like Antonio Gibson's going to be taking his carries.
No,
So,
not at all. No, he had 2 carries.
right.
Yeah.
So, and it was sort of that way last week too. So,
Mm.
yeah, I have Gibson in a few fantasy leagues and I'm a little concerned, but
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like Washington's found something in the run game. Hal just missed 300 yards at 299.
Yep. Didn't run the
So,
ball as much either today, which I don't know if
yeah,
from the contained. He was only sacked 4 times. Only sacked 4 times. Like,
only.
yeah, but
Only.
I mean, he got sacked I think 6 times last week versus the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So you figured with the Broncos, they don't really have they have Randy Gregory and Nick Bonito, but they don't really have brand name edge rushers.
Right.
Which is why maybe they had more success on the ground too with Brian
Yeah.
Robinson. Terry McLaurin was the guy again. Was the guy this week. I saw
Yep.
a lot of De'Ami Brown. He had 3 catches for 25, nothing crazy. But
That's something.
I think something that's very big of note is their
Lance
defense.
Thomas.
I know. What's up?
Oh
Logan
no,
Thomas.
go ahead.
Logan
Or
Thomas.
yeah,
Logan Thomas.
yeah.
Yeah, touchdown. Pretty solid.
I think he's an X factor for that team. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think
Yeah.
he's a solid tight end, and he just helps the receivers. They threw receivers too.
Yeah.
But tell me about the defense.
Yeah. Their guys up front are getting to the ball. Like they're getting to the ball to the quarterback. Deron Payne sack. Montez Sweat sack and a half. Chase Young first game back sack and a half. I think that's huge for Chase Young for everybody.
Yes.
I think he had a sack and a half the past 2 seasons total, something like that. Like Jamin Davis, coming up big first round pick a couple years back, did a nice sack. Casey Toohill, not even that familiar with him, sack.
You know where he means a special place. He has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, tell me about Casey Toohill.
I think the Eagles either drafted him in like the 7th round or they brought him as an undrafted free agent, and they thought he'd be really good. Stunk. I mean, you couldn't do anything with him. And he's found a home in Washington. Apparently, he's been like decent the last 2-ish years. So, good for him. Bad for us. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it in terms of the Commanders. Like Sam Howell, and no interceptions today either. Like he was safe with the ball.
Going up against Pat Surtain.
Yep.
And what's his
Justin
name?
Simmons.
And Simmons, yeah. So it's always nice for a quarterback not to. I think mentally it kind of kills when they throw interceptions, even when they win. I think it gets to them. So going up against those 2 players and not throwing picks for a young guy like Sam Howell, it'll be interesting because he's going to go up against Buffalo.
The Bills next week. So that is interesting. All right, let's move on to America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
You know better as a Giants fan. My God, Sean.
No. I'll tell you what. Their defense looked just as good against Zach Wilson and the Jets, but
yeah, that's an important asterisk to note.
Yes,
go ahead.
But yeah, only allowed 1 touchdown. So in 2 games they've allowed 1 touchdown, and that was a Garrett Wilson 68-yard touchdown. from Zach Wilson, Wilson to Wilson, early in the game where it looked like maybe it could be close. There is one thing that I thought was kind of interesting too watching this game is that the Jets defense, which is a good defense, held the Cowboys without a touchdown in the second half. It was
Yeah,
just field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal. So
right.
that is something. So yes, did their defense look amazing? Yes, they did. And I'm not taking away. I mean, the Cowboys are 2-0. Their team looks. Their CD Lamb looks like one of the best wide receivers in the league. Tony Pollard, even though he only averaged 2.9 yards per carry, had over 100 yards total from scrimmage. Looks like one of the premier running backs in the league. And I'll tell you what, like they held Garrett Wilson to 2 receptions. 2 receptions. So yeah,
Yeah,
their secondary had 3 interceptions too, with Trayvon Diggs and 2 of their safeties, Jaron Curse and Malik Hooker. So yeah, they are looking good. Micah Parsons, 2 sacks. Osa Digizua, another sack too. So yeah, they look great on defense, which is I know that DeMarcus Lawrence after the game they were asked how they compare to the Jets defense because everybody's comparing them as who's the better defense, and they said you just watch the best defense. He said you just watch the best defense, and he's referring to the Dallas defense. If you couldn't tell,
sure. Couldn't tell.
yeah. What are your takeaways here?
Um, they've put 2 weeks in a row where they've played very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them that. I think in some ways it's a little fluky. You're going up against Zach Wilson. That's a win of itself. Um, Dallas went ahead early-ish,
Mm-hmm.
so it was tough, and the Jets completely abandoned the run.
Yeah.
So Brees Hall only running 4 yards. I don't think he got hurt either.
No.
So or not. So only giving him 4 carries
Yep.
is idiotic.
Yeah.
And relying on Zach Wilson to throw the ball is brain dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give Dallas credit. I don't know if we've seen them go up against a good offense yet. Sorry, Giants fans.
Hey, you know what? I think we unlocked something against the Cardinals in the second half. But that is fair to say. That is fair to say.
So I'll give them some roses. They played well offensively. I just looking at the numbers,
Yeah.
31 complete, like percentage wise, 31 for 38 for Dak, no receptions, good.
Yeah.
But 250 yards in the air for 31 completions, I think, is low.
Yeah.
It's not like they really made it up on the ground. Yeah, they put up 72 yards with Pollard, which that's notable. On 25 carries, so that's 2.9 yards a carry.
Yeah.
They ran for over
But
100, so I guess that helped with the pass game a little. But it seems a little off to have 31 completions and 255 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And also what I wanted to say too about the Tony Pollard, because I mentioned that 2.9 yards per carry, but they were up. You know, they were up where they were just running the ball. So the Jets defense knew that. But
right.
I mean, hey, I think probably one of the biggest takeaways from this game is that, and from last game, like Brandon Cooks looked good in the limited targets he had. He didn't play this game. Excuse me. But it doesn't look like a wide receiver 2 has emerged. And I think it will be Brandon Cooks. But I mean, like Michael Gallup, slow day. Jalen Tolbert, slow. I mean, Tony Pollard was their second best receiver.
Right.
They did hit both of the tight ends for touchdowns, Jake Ferguson and their second round pick, Luke Schoonmaker. But yeah, I'm curious to see how that holds up moving forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, CeeDee Lamb had a great game, 11 for 143.
Yeah.
Went up against, because the Jets, they don't travel their corners. So whatever side CeeDee decides to go on, he'll either be matched up against Sauce or DJ Reed. Mm-hmm. I think it's dumb for the Jets. Just put Sauce on. But whatever, they do it.
Yeah.
And CeeDee Lamb had a very good game. So it's clear that he is a top receiver. It's clear that he's a top offense maker in that Cowboys offense, along with Pollard, I think. Easily. So they played well. I think I want to see them do it against a good team.
Yeah.
a good offense and a good defense.
Yeah.
They did play good defense today, but offensively, I think the Jets with Zach Wilson
Hmm.
aren't good. I think that maybe they'll be able to scrap through some games, especially with their defense being able to hopefully win them some games as well.
Hmm.
But he's just not it. He's not good enough, and we saw it this game.
Yeah, and like I said, only two touchdowns, which I
Yeah,
know the score 30-10. Um, and obviously,
but
the
it's a good
Cowboys.
point you make.
Yeah, but the Cowboys looked dominant the entire time. I don't think they were going for
Yeah,
more either. I think they were settling to just add to that lead that they had. Especially like
right.
the Jets, they abandoned the run, which I think they and Brees Hall said it too. Like he was asked after the game, why do you think that the run game was so inept? It's because they abandoned it completely. I mean, you're not going to get any production when your best ball carrier, Brees Hall, gets 4 carries, and Dalvin Cook still 4 carries. Like,
It's tough when you're down. Obviously, it's tough to run,
mm-hmm.
so you have to commit to the throw. But to completely lose it, and like they were down at halftime, they were down 18-10.
Yeah,
It's a one possession
yeah,
game, so I think they need to. Not going back to Brees Hall. It's just he's a talent, and I'm not just saying that because he's on a few of my fantasy teams.
yeah.
He's just a talent in general.
Oh yeah,
So I think that is Rob Saleh. It helps to go against coaches who do dumb things like that
hmm.
and give Dallas credit. But like you said, I mean, I just think that like the score would show that it wasn't
Yep,
close, but it didn't seem like it was like I thought Dallas looked good early on
yep,
when they scored, but it just didn't seem like they were that dominant throughout the game. Settled for field goals in the second half, which you get because
yep.
that's sort of the way the game was going. Jets had to play offense,
Mm-hmm.
and you knew they weren't going to do much. But yeah, they go to 2-0. I think Cooks, I guess, not having that weapon might have been a reason why the offense wasn't as good.
Yeah,
But I thought their ability to run the ball with Pollard just wasn't anything special to go along with the pass game, which again wasn't that special for all those completions.
yeah,
I could be nitpicking because I hate that team,
yeah. It's
but
fair. I mean, well, look at
I
it
don't
this
know.
way too: is like they were just running the ball because I mean the Jets also were held scoreless in the second half. Like I said, they had that one touchdown, the one touchdown
Yeah,
where it was a 68-yard. I mean, I don't know if you saw the play, but like Garrett Wilson
I
caught it
did.
like 15 yards and just took it. But I feel like
Yep.
the Jets weren't getting into the red zone very often,
No,
and
they weren't moving the
yeah,
ball. No, not at
they
all.
couldn't. Yeah,
Yeah. So you give the Cowboys credit
yeah,
because as I've said, you hold a team to 17, 20 points as a defense. That's very good in today's NFL because offenses are just it's easy for them to get 3, 4 scores a game in the NFL today because it's just an offensive league.
yeah,
So they only scored 10. Give them credit for that, obviously. Let's pump some more competition though on that Dallas schedule.
yeah. No, I completely agree. Anything else you want to say here about them Cowboys?
I don't think so. They're 2-0
Yeah,
and
number one in the division, just because they beat us. But
uh,
yeah, there's one loss in the entire NFC East. That's why we are the beast of the NFC East. I could
pretty
say.
wild.
Also,
Pretty
two of
wild.
us played the Cardinals, so that helps too.
And Dallas will play them next week too.
Yeah. Well, hey, watch out for that Josh Dobbs, man. He is a aerospace
Let me tell
engineer.
you.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to? Well, I guess we should get started. Let's go into the previews for next week. The Giants play
Okay.
first, and we play the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday Night Football
Yes.
in front of the entire country again. Well, maybe people won't tune in because of. But I will be tuning in. I got work.
Right.
I have work off for this game, and I am quite excited. So let's get into it because honestly, the Niners, as good as they looked against the Steelers, it was a relatively close game. They kind of took over against the Rams today, but it was a lot closer than I thought. I mean, it
Yeah.
was 17-17 at halftime. You know, the Niners really didn't run away with it until the fourth quarter. And
Yeah,
so,
the NFC West I think is a very the last however many years is a weird division where they're really it's kind of like the NFC East where they're really competitive in division. It's kind of the same with those teams out west in the NFC.
Yeah, yeah. It's and especially because everybody's been talking about how the Rams defense is just inept this year. Um,
Yeah.
let's see here. So the Rams against that O line got 1 sack against the very good Niners O line.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants still sackless. Who knows? Do you think the Giants can finally get that elusive first sack of the season, Game 3 against the Niners?
You'd hope so. I think Purdy, I think he's susceptible to getting sacked. I just don't know if he has some escapability. I think we saw against Pittsburgh
Mm-hmm.
week 1. I think he also might have a tendency. I think uh, Shanahan will have a thing to get the ball out quickly if he needs to, if he feels like the Giants' defensive front is getting to the backfield
Mm-hmm.
quickly or behind the offensive line quicker than he thought.
Yeah,
You would think that they'd get one,
I'm hoping.
but
I'm hoping.
yeah,
We'll see if Aziz is back too.
right.
Fingers crossed, but I mean, it just seems like he's always there. And then the Niners, I mean, it's just they had another great. I mean, they just spread the ball. They have, I would say, the best offense in the NFL with their
Yeah,
playmakers, with Debo
it
Samuel, Brandon
helps.
Ayuk, George
Yeah,
Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, on paper, that is like a dream Madden team. I feel.
yeah, I think it definitely helps last year when they or the year I forget what, but when they traded for McCaffrey,
Mm-hmm.
that helped a lot because the run game there, you're set.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think that was, I think Elijah Mitchell, I think when they had most or Elijah Mitchell, it was interesting, but it ultimately wasn't it. You now have McCaffrey,
Yep.
Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, even Jennings too has been
Juwan Jennings.
productive.
Yeah.
So yeah, they probably do have the best offense, unless I'm missing someone. No, yeah, I would
I would
think,
say,
yeah.
I mean, I think the Chargers might be able to compete on paper
Yeah,
with Eckler back, but we'll see. Um,
yeah,
and then their defense is terrifying. Their defense is also terrifying. Like I think, like we've been saying all year, that the Niners and the Eagles are probably the two most complete teams, at least in the NFC. I would say probably in the whole the entire NFL. This is a
yeah,
game that I think every Giants fan chalked up as their loss. You know, we're in San Francisco, short week. We're going to be staying in Arizona until Wednesday. Then we're going to fly over.
right.
Um, but yeah, if especially with Andrew Thomas hamstring lingering, if we don't have Andrew Thomas, Nick Bosa is going to eat. Fred Warner, I like he's somebody who can take care of Darren Waller, who was one of our go-to weapons. So I'm very nervous about that. Saquon
Right.
Barkley, I'm just gonna chalk it up. If he ends up playing
I
by
don't
some
think he,
miracle,
yeah.
he's not gonna be. And like as much as I love Matt Breida for stalking my Instagram story and liking it that one time, he's not. He's not somebody who I trust to go up against this San Francisco 49ers defensive front. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a tall order for the Giants. Uh, if you're a Giants fan, you blame the schedule makers because it just stinks that you have to play them this early after having a rocky start to the season, to say the least.
yeah,
But it could have been worse too. You could have been 0-2 going into this game, but that's
yeah.
a story for another time. Um, yeah, I think you'd want to see the Giants hold them tight on both sides of the ball. I just think San Francisco's a lot better. New York is injured a bit. Maybe some of the injuries shape up towards, but it seems like a lot of them aren't. Like a lot
Like
of them with the
Bredesen probably
concussion
won't be
stuff.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, like that stuff. It seems like at least out for 1 week, and then you go forward a week 4, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, I think San Francisco wins. It would. I think the best case scenario, obviously, win. But if the Giants do lose, I think best case scenario after that is they played decent football on both sides and made a game when there was a lot of adversity and they had a lot of guys hurt. So you still sort of think that this roster, this coaching staff can do something like that, even with the start. So
Yeah,
maybe that's something to look for. Maybe steal a game too.
yeah,
Who's to
we
say?
are going to be underdogs. I think what I'm looking for in this game is to see improvement on the O line pieces that are going to be our O line pieces. Also,
Yeah.
like, uh, I'm
Here's the problem though. If you want to see that, but you have backups in on the
yeah, because
offensive line, it's
it
gonna
doesn't really show what the
yeah,
chemistry is.
it is unfortunate in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think honestly, like what we can probably see because our defense is healthy, knock on wood, aside from Aziz Hajjalari, but you know, he's. I honestly counted it on him missing at least 4 or 5 games because that seems to be his career right now.
Right.
Um, I hope he's back. I hope that our defense can look strong against the 49ers.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like their stats against the Rams defense that everybody says isn't that good, even though they have Aaron Donald and they have pieces. You know, they put up 30 points, but
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey had 100 yards. Their highest receiver in this game against the Rams, Tebow Samuel, with 60.
Right.
Brock Purdy barely put up 200. Um, so
I would say
if we can
I
hold the Niners, if we can hold the Niners on defense, that's what I'm looking for in this game. I feel like our offense isn't even going to be our offense because nobody's going to be afraid of the run game with Matt Breida. Unfortunately, I just don't see
I
it.
think it's yeah, I think it's a big. I think you need someone like Matt Brady to keep the defense honest at least
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, and that comes down to Dable. It comes down to the offensive coaching,
Yeah,
to run plays and to move the ball a little bit with Brady to make sure that like the Niners are they're not just setting the house every time to go after Daniel Jones.
which is another thing that I wanted to mention too. Is like if we're
Yeah,
down, like hey, we got up being down, 21 points today.
right.
But that was against the Arizona Cardinals, which is like the worst team in the league, and then the
Yes.
San Francisco 49ers, who is the best team in the league. So, like, I don't know. Like, I know there was a lot of criticism about leaving Daniel Jones in there with Andrew Thomas out week one. I don't know.
Yep.
Like, Daniel Jones is whatever you want to say. Daniel Jones led that comeback today. Daniel Jones was the catalyst for the Giants' comeback victory today. And he was
Yeah.
great in that second half. And he really, I don't think he was the issue in the first half. I think it was the O line still being terrible and mistakes, and perhaps the play calling. Because honestly, the play calling totally shifted in the second half. So I think this is what I want to see. I want to see Jalen Hyatt make some of those plays. If we can get that time, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that. I want to see Darren Waller winning over the middle against Fred Warner and Javarius Warner and everybody, you know, Talanoa, Hufanga, like they have all these like. I want to see our players win against elite players in the league. I think that's what I'm looking for. But do I want to win? Yes. Am I expecting to win? No. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I think defensively for the Giants, they have to work on shutting down the run. I think
yeah,
if you shut down McCaffrey and you force them to have Brock Purdy beat you,
yeah,
I think there's a chance there.
yeah.
I think, but otherwise, I think it's doom and gloom if you can't shut down McCaffrey. Then you get the quarterback going a little bit with Purdy and
Hmm.
whatnot, the whole offense as a whole. So it's a tall order for the Giants,
Yeah,
but they have some guys on defense. They have some guys who are paid. Dexter
yeah,
Lawrence. It'll be a big game for him, I think.
yeah, definitely. And he was definitely our biggest player against the Cardinals today, last week. Yeah, I just think that is another huge thing I want to see too, because we did a lot better job in the second half against the Cardinals, bottling up James Conner, and I want to see if we could do
Yeah.
that. If we can maybe adjust and preemptively stop McCaffrey, which is a tall order for sure, like you said. Predictions, I think, as an optimist, I'm gonna go. If the Giants were to win this game, I think the score would look a little something like 25-24. I don't even know. It's hard to say. I think,
Well, listen.
but my realistic prediction, as an optimist as well, with the loss,
Yes.
I think it's going to be the Giants 14. We find a way to score twice, which is going to be tough without Saquon, to
Mm-hmm.
Rams 24. Not Rams, not 49.
Rams.
49ers 24. 49ers 24. Yeah.
Let's go. Niners 35. Niners will be in the 35 to 38 range. It could be 35.
I mean,
Could be
they did it to the
37.
Steelers. They did it to the Rams.
It could be
makes
38.
sense. Yeah.
35, 17, 49ers.
All right. Okay.
Would be nice. Would be nice if it was a close game. Would be nice to have another decent Thursday night game. I think we're on a run where 3 weeks in a, or at least 2 weeks in a row where the Thursday night games were
good,
decent.
Yeah.
Especially last year when they were awful.
Yeah.
So why not make it a third?
Yeah, let's go for Giants. I mean, hey, I'll tell you what. I believe. I will always believe in the Giants. I will always I'm going to go into that game with hope that some magic will happen. You know, because trust me, even though I was thinking about my failsafe and how miserable it would have been to talk about the Giants losing to the Cardinals, I still had faith. Just a quick bold prediction. I think Kayvon Tip. I think the Giants get their first sack. That's my bold prediction for this game. Those are my expectations. And
very good.
Yeah, you got any bold ones?
Yeah, I'll do my bold prediction too. And
maybe actually, well, the bolder prediction would be Giants get their first interception too. I want to double that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good. That's bold.
Mm-hmm.
All right, not too bold. I think McCaffrey scores one on the ground and in the air, and I think the Giants pick off Purdy twice.
Okay.
They will go over 1.5 on interceptions. And interceptions specifically, like I'm not talking fumbles. I'm talking they're going to pick off Purdy twice.
All right. I like that. You know what? If that happens, because I really have not seen not seeing an interception, not seeing a sack. Like the defense, There's nothing. Like there's been some tackles for losses. Like that's awesome when Jason Pinnock gets James Conner for a 2-yard loss. But like the defense, they looked better stopping Arizona in the second half, but they are probably my biggest concern for this Giants team moving forward. I think that the Giants, despite the 49ers' good offense, I hope that we can still make some of those plays. And I think the key to that is going to be getting Jalen Hyatt involved, getting Darius Slayton involved deep, and spreading the ball around the field and opening up the playbook.
I would think that opening the playbook, opening the field would be big for the Giants in a game like this, and being able to convert on big plays down the field through the air.
Yeah. I
think that gives you a shot to compete, and I think that's necessary.
Yeah. I think that's all I have to say about that, I would say.
Okay.
You good? You want to go? Next game on the slate is the Commanders.
Against
the Buffalo Bills in the 1:00 slot on Sunday. And it is in Washington.
Yes.
So and you know what? The Commanders fans are stoked. They're 2-0 for the first time since 2011.
Yep.
They have a little bit of faith. Like they're putting up points right now, like 34 and 20. 20 against the Cardinals, not amazing, but or 35 rather against the Broncos, who is supposed to have one of the best defenses. I think on paper, some people think that the Broncos defense should have been better than the Bills. But the Bills team that lost to the Jets with Zach Wilson, essentially.
Yes.
Game 1. So, is this game winnable for the Commanders? I think so. Do I think that the Bills have something to prove, especially after beating the Raiders 38-10? I also think so.
Yeah, it's not winnable for Washington. I'm sorry, Washington.
Hey.
Buffalo needs to. The thing about The thing about good teams losing in the first few weeks is that they can't keep losing because they want to compete for the number one seed, and you can't lose a few games early on like that. Washington's intriguing. They're playing good football. And I count this game a lot more than week one since they were up against Arizona. Um, maybe they play him tough defensively, but I think even though Josh Allen's iffy right now, offensively, James Cook looked good running the ball. I don't know if that'll last, but he looked good. Davis had a nice week, but he's also unpredictable. Kincaid seems like he's been. Let me see what he did. It seems like he's been
he was actually pretty reliable against the Raiders. Looks like
right.
he had 5 catches, right?
Yeah, let me see what I have here.
I have 5 catches for
5 for 43.
Jenks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
So,
as a rookie tight end and you're
not bad.
not terrible at all.
Murray gave them a run on the ground.
Yeah.
But Cook with the 7.2 yards per average on run was great.
Yeah. And in the pass game too, like I mean, he had over 150 yards from scrimmage today. So we'll see how James Cook does. I feel like the Commanders have a better defensive front to stop that James Cook presence.
Yes.
Because he definitely didn't have that good of a game against the Jets, who also have a good defensive front week one. What I could see, and I'll tell you what, this is also pretty interesting because unless you tell me otherwise, I feel like the Raiders O-line has been one of their biggest issues. And the Bills had 0 sacks against them today.
Interesting.
Which is interesting.
Not an expert on the Raiders, but I don't know if the Bills on defense were able to be active in other ways like fumbles and interceptions.
Yeah, they did have 2 interceptions.
Like 2 interceptions, so that helps. Yeah, I think the Bills win 33-20.
33-20. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. I'm going to go with, you know what? I think the success of the Commanders is going to be their defense, but I'm also but they let off those big explosive plays today too against Russell Wilson. So I think it's going to be around that 30 point. I'm going to say 27 since it's at home. 27-20 Buffalo Bills.
Okay. Sounds like a good game.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think that the Commanders are going to be coming in with some hype. And I'm curious to see. I feel like we're going to see another Emmanuel Forbes interception. I think that's my bold prediction because Josh Allen Josh Allen sometimes just lets it rip. And I feel like Emmanuel Forbes is best in getting interceptions on people who just let it rip. And it's just in the right place at the right time. I also think that I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with Brian Robinson continues his success and has a 3rd touchdown. 3 straight weeks of touchdowns for Brian Robinson.
Interesting.
What about you? What are your bold predictions here?
Bold predictions. Damian Harris, 7 carries today. I think they're trying to mix him in, even though James Cook did have a good week. I will say over on 74.5 yards for Damian Harris next week on the ground.
74?
Yes.
Really?
So, over 74.5, yes.
All right.
I think he'll go over 75. Let's hope.
Okay.
It's bold for a reason.
You got a bet in there?
Maybe. We'll see the odds after this. And I'll say that he'll also, because of those 75 yards, one of those yards will be him getting over the goal line. So we'll have a touchdown. And I think Buffalo will also have a defensive score in this game.
Okay. How do you think the front is going to do against? I don't know. I think rather than my predictions, there's things that I want to see here, because this is the best team that the Commanders are going to be playing. I mean, the Broncos, I didn't really see as scrubs. They're now 0-2. I want to see how Sam Howell competes here. I mean, I would say, the Bills' defense is still a stacked defense, top to bottom. Yeah.
Yes,
So
they played. Looks like the first 2 weeks they've played well.
yeah, yeah,
Played well. Listen, they played well enough week one. It's just the offense didn't do any like
yeah.
the
Josh Allen
offense
had
should have.
like what 3 interceptions week 1.
Yeah, something like
I think
that.
that's the key though to the Commanders is getting turnovers, like getting those turnovers and executing on them. So
No
I
doubt.
definitely see a path.
Keeper luck. Yeah,
I see a better path to victory for the Commanders against the Bills than the Giants over the 49ers right now, which I hate to say, but
that is saying a lot for one Sean Gnitzcavich.
yeah, it's tough. Is there anything else you want to say about that game?
I don't think so. I think it could. I wish if Washington had. I know Hal played well, but if they had more of a established guy, I think it could be a pretty interesting game.
Yeah,
I fear that because of Hal, his inexperience going against a strong AFC team, I think that could be a little too big for the moment kind of thing.
yeah,
We'll see though. Who knows?
yeah. Um, all right. Did you have you had your bold prediction, Damian Harris? Well, I want to keep tabs on that, Jeremy. I want to keep
Yeah,
some tabs on that.
I keep on trying to remember. I'm like some of these things I like just to ramble off. I'm like, there's no way it's gonna happen, but it's bold. So I'll say so. We should keep tabs on them
I
for
know.
sure.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the bold predictions were last week, but I think mine failed. At least to the Giants. Let's see here. We're going to now we're going to go back to Arizona. For this time, the Dallas Cowboys will be playing them at the 4:25 Eastern time slot, the midday
Right.
game. I think that this is like the Cardinals. We'll see if the Cardinals can do anything on this Dallas defense. You know,
Yeah.
like I could see the Cowboys shutting them out like they shut out the Giants. In all honesty, like the way that the Giants were able to shut them down for that fourth quarter, the second half when we finally figured it out.
Yeah.
I don't think that the Cowboys are going to take this as some sleeper game. I think that they're trying to prove that they're the best defense in the league, and we'll see. I also think this is maybe the game where we see Dak fully unleash his weapons and like
Mm-hmm.
have over 250 passing. I actually think he had 250 against the Jets, but just there, right? Yeah, 255. Um, yeah, I kind of want to see how this plays out. It's not a game that I'm like looking forward to watching. Like you were looking at the Cowboys, who have essentially proven themselves as one of the powerhouses of the NFC, versus the
Mm-hmm.
0-2 Cardinals, who everybody assumed to be the worst. Is there anything you really want to talk about with this game?
Not really. I think it could be historically bad.
Yeah,
Maybe if Arizona can have some form of offense, I don't know. I don't see it.
yeah.
Maybe their defense could be hold up a little bit. Yeah, I don't see it.
Good luck, Josh Dobbs. Good luck, Josh Dobbs. I think you know what? I think one of my predictions from last week and yours. I think we both predicted Micah Parsons to have 2 sacks, and he did. And
There you go.
this time I predict him to also have 2 sacks. I'm predicting 2 sacks again for. You know what? I better step it up. It's the Cardinals. Let's get 3 sacks for Micah Parsons.
Wow, there you
Yeah,
go.
three
Okay.
sacks. That's my bold prediction. And the score, I think it's going to be similar. I'll tell you what. I thought Saquon, even though I don't think he averaged 4 yards per carry today, I think he started running it towards the end. I think that Tony Pollard breaks 100 yards because I think that they're just going to be dominating like 100 yards on the ground easy. And my score
Mm-hmm.
prediction is Cowboys beat the Cardinals 40-0. 40-0. I want to. I don't know. You know what? I'm
Interesting.
going to go 45-0 because I want them to show.
I hope no other team this year gets shut out.
Yeah.
It's so hard to too.
Yeah.
My bold prediction, I don't know how bold it is, honestly, with how bad Arizona is, but uh Dallas punts twice in the game, and that's it.
Okay. I kind of like that. I like that.
Yeah.
don't know. Their defense. We'll see if Buda Baker plays too, because maybe, like you said, maybe Buda
Yeah, we'll
Baker
see.
is a trade candidate already, and he's done so.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, it doesn't help that today that he didn't play.
yeah, I mean, Zayvon Collins, Kaiser White, he had a couple good plays. Dennis Gardeck, like, I don't know. We'll see, especially because that Dallas O line looked amazing. I know Zach Martin went out at the end and he said it was nothing.
Right.
He's
Yeah, I
like,
think they
if it was
said
a close
precaution.
game, I would have stayed in, but
Right.
didn't need me. Yeah. So, anything else you want to say about the card? I think that's pretty. Good luck, Cardinals.
I agree.
Good luck, Josh Dobbs. Trust me, I'm rooting for you. I am rooting for you.
Me too.
I want
Me
Michael
too. Go
Wilson.
Cardinals.
Michael Wilson looked good today. Was a 3rd-round pick. I really like Michael Wilson coming out of the draft. He just got hurt a lot in college. Let's see, Hollywood Brown. Dude, Zach Ertz, I'll tell you what. Zach Ertz looked pissed today. And he made some plays. He dropped some balls, too. But I think Zach Ertz's hatred for the Cowboys has carried over from his Eagles days. So let's root for a Zach Ertz game. Let's root for a little Zach Ertz game. All right.
By all means, help everybody out.
Yeah. You ready to move on?
We can move on, yes.
All right. We got a little Eagles at Tampa Bay for Monday Night Football. Another primetime game for the NFC East. Another primetime game for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
The Bucks are 2-0, beating the Vikings, who you also beat 20-17.
Correct.
A little bit closer of a game for them than it was for you guys. And then, even though the score was only a 10-point victory, it looked like they were handling the Bears all day today.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, so I think that DeAndre Swift won't be rushing for 175 yards because the Buccaneers' defensive front is actually pretty stout, you know? With Dontari Poe, right? That is his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vita
Vea, yeah. Oh, wait, no, they don't have Dontari Poe. It's just Vita Vea. Which Vita Vea, dude, what a guy. And he had 1.5 sacks today, too, against the Bears. And Joe Tryon-Shawinka, too. I forgot about him. You remember? He was, I think this is his 2nd year out of the draft. Mike Evans, for everybody who thought that Mike Evans was going to be traded because Baker Mayfield wasn't going to be able to get him the ball, I really hope that Mike Evans, everybody's, he was bad. Mike Evans is a perennial 1,000-yard receiver, and he looked like a god today. Like he has.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's Baker Mayfield throwing you the ball. He's a contested catch guy. He gets down. He gets open. I don't know. I think a lot of people wrote off the Bucs this year because of Baker Mayfield. Remember, Baker Mayfield looked good in his first couple years on the Browns, and then kind of got the shaft. And also, like, his last year on the Browns, he was playing with like a broken shoulder or elbow or something. Whatever. He was limited physically and pushed through it, and still beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, this is more your game, but I do think that the Eagles take this. I think.
Okay.
I'm curious. I kind of want to know more. So you had some injuries. Before I go into my predictions, I kind of want to know what's it look like injury-wise going in. I know that we were a week away from the game, but what are your predictions?
Bradbury should be back. A lot of guys should be back. I think Maddox might be out for the year with the torn pec. But Blankenship should be back. Gainwell should be back. Bradbury should be back, like I said. Dean is still out. Yeah. And Quez has some Quez Watkins has hamstring stuff, but he should be good to go, I would assume. So they should be healthy-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I am curious to see, because honestly, like, the Bucs still have a really good defense too. Like like they have pretty decent coverage linebackers in Levante Davis and your boy who everybody loves, Devin White. So maybe that can shut down Dallas Goedert, perhaps. I mean, they have pass rushers.
He's been shut down 2 weeks in a row too. Yeah. So it seems like a lot of teams want to shut down God. He's like the seems like he's the X factor to a lot of teams for defense, and they want to shut down Goddard, which I think makes
Yeah.
sense. It makes it tough then when you have AJ and Devontae running
Hmm.
on their routes. But it does, getting Goddard out of the game makes sense. So maybe they try a third game to shut him down.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this too, but that Shaq Barrett touchdown, the interception touchdown against the Bears today,
I
it
did,
was like right at the
I
goal.
did
It
not
was
see
right at
it.
the goal line. But yeah, I've heard.
Was it?
Yeah, Shaq Barrett is still a guy too, so he's somebody to of concern. I think that the Eagles win this game, but I don't think that it's going to be the blowout that everybody's expecting. I think that
Mhm.
especially, well, I mean, you're going to have James Bradbury back, so that's going to help. But I mean, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, that's still a good duo to
Yeah.
cover.
Historically, too, Slay has struggled against bigger, more physical wide receivers like DK Metcalfs.
Mhm.
Mike Evans would probably fit in that category, so it could be interesting there.
Yeah. Um, I'll let you take the reins here. I do wonder how Baker Mayfield holds up against this Eagles defense, though. I wonder if they're going to be able to get his number because
Will be interesting.
yeah, he played a terrible Vikings defense and a Bears defense that only invests in linebackers, and that's the
Yes,
stand up by linebacker middle linebackers.
very true.
All right, let's hear what you say. What's your prediction here?
Didn't expect the Bucks to be 2-0 in this position.
Mm-hmm.
But they have, teams they've played not that great. Give them their respects. I think the Eagles beat them pretty handedly in Tampa all Monday night. But like we see a lot, the difference between quarterbacks is going to be big. I think. I think the offense, just of Philadelphia, will have time to click more, get more in sync, and I just think the Eagles are a lot better than Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what it comes down to. So, yeah, I'm taking Eagles pretty big. 38-16.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
38-16.
Yes.
I'm gonna go a little bit. I think that you're not giving the Bucks defense enough credit, and I
Oh, I'm
haven't,
definitely not.
and I
I'm
have
definitely not.
not seen. I have not seen. But hey, you know what? Good. You know what? Next time I'm gonna just go Giants crushing the Niners. But dude, I haven't seen Jalen Hurts be MVP Jalen Hurts yet this season. So,
Yeah.
and honestly, I don't think like this is the game to take it. If he does, I don't see that the Bucks defense will entirely stop him. But I'm going with Eagles 24, Bucks 17. Bucks 17.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I do because
Interesting.
I don't know. I think that Rashad White's going to get bottled up, but I think that they're going to find ways to get the ball to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I
Interesting.
gave you 7 points. That's
No, no,
It's Monday
that's
Night
a covered.
Football. Yeah.
That's a cover two with the line. Yeah, I'm
Is that the
thinking.
line? Is it 6.5 or is it?
I think the line is 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Vegas wants a lot of people to take Bucks to start off too, so it gets a few points lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess again another kind of thing where I see like the a range between like 34, maybe 34, 16, 34, 17. I don't know, something like that.
All right. Fair.
Bold predictions: Eagles have 3 interceptions. I think they take advantage of Baker at quarterback,
Okay.
and let me see with the
Hey,
Bucks. I
with
think
that score, I mean that's one of the ways you're going to do it.
yes.
It's taking
I
advantage of
think
Baker.
Baker will still maybe some garbage time. I think Baker will still throw north of 274 and a half yards. So I'm taking the over on that for Baker. Oddly enough.
Yeah. Is that the line? Are you looking at the line for that too, or is it?
No. I'm not looking at the line or anything.
All right.
I was looking at that Shaq Barrett touchdown.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, not bad.
You know what? I think, especially, I mean, Shaq Barrett's not really like a Daniil Hunter, but you know what? For the Bucks, I'm gonna say, I'm going to say a Shaq Barrett sack. Shaq Barrett sack. I don't think he's going to get a touchdown at the line of scrimmage again, but a sack. I think that I would say I kind of like what you're going with the Baker over 275 despite losing
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like he's going to be able to spread the ball around. I think that they have the weapons.
Possibly. Yeah.
And especially with garbage time, like you said.
Eagles go up, maybe if the Eagles go up big early and throughout the game,
Yeah.
Tampa's just swing the rock through. Yeah.
Yeah. This is my bold prediction. I think Devonta Smith has another 100-yard game. I think that Devonta Smith is going to be the guy, and this is another bold one. I think that A.J. Brown is held to less than 50 yards again. And I kind of want to see it because I saw a little bit of like the A.J. Brown chippiness when I was looking at the game, and I kind of want to see. I want to see those tempers. I want to see those tempers flare a little bit.
I'm sure you do. Not concerned. Just a competitor. He after the game, he leaves the field kissing Eagles fans, just blowing kisses. He's
a happy guy.
He's a competitor. I love that.
All right.
Not a great look when Amazon has 1,000 cameras on the field because of Jeff Bezos, but alas, he is a competitor nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, if he does it on Monday Night Football too, I feel like that's 2 primetime games in a row.
No doubt.
We'll see. I'm sure that there's going to be a game plan for A.J. Brown to get the ball, but those are my bold predictions.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to get into, or you think that covers it?
I think that covers it.
All right. Well, congrats. All of the beasts of the NFC East were winners this week. I hope I could say the same for some of us next week, and not the same for some of the other teams. But you know what? It's been a good week. It's actually been a pretty fun, exciting week for the most part.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Jeremy, peace.
Sean, see you later.
Catch you later, brother.
See ya.
See ya.